Hi guys, it's me again, the Hema Reviews guy. Today I had, well actually not today, some time ago an idea was given to me that I should probably do a follow-up review whenever I either break something or stop using it, or enough time has passed so that I can give like a complete overview. Alright, this was okay, this was bad, this was really fucking sucky. And well, it just so happened that a month or two ago, my comfort fencing feather broke. So I decided that this would be the first one that I would do a, let's say, a post-mortem review. So this is my poor broken comfort fencing feather shred. It broke, as most feathers do, if they're well made, at the second vibrational node. Now, you'll notice that it broke into a point, very spiky point. It's not very pronounced, however, it is very jaggedy, the break. This means that, well, usually it means that it broke because of stress, not simply because the workmanship was bad or anything. And this sword was used a lot. It lasted me about, let's say, 16 months. I think it was about 16 months, I'm not 100% sure, but thereabouts. So a little bit less than a year and a half. And you might say, well, for at that price point, that's not really that much, is it? And yeah, you would be correct. The reason I think that it broke relatively quickly is because it was too soft. It was hardened to 48 Rockwell. It took a lot of sets. I had to straighten it, and this puts a shit ton of stress on the sword. So, of course, it broke more quickly. Now, the new ones, as I said before, they don't have this problem. They should last longer. Now, as far as the sword itself goes, I was very happy with it. I loved using it. It was one of the better swords I've used, probably among top 3. And the other two that I really loved, they are both one-offs, so uniquely made, handmade swords. And having a sword made by a machine has the advantage that you know exactly what you will get. And this is something that I do want to get a lot of. It was wonderful. I loved how the point was made, so the thick point was very easy to stab with it, because let's say the Drogenje feathers, I have a real problem that I don't dare to stab people with Drogenje feathers because they have a very narrow point, and I'm afraid I'm gonna hurt someone with it, especially because I have had some freak accidents that really require me to have a good point to be comfortable with stabbing. I've stabbed a friend in the throat without any protection because he looked up and the gap showed, and I went full thrust inwards, and that was too late for me to stop. That was very scary. Luckily, the sword I used back then had a very wide rolled back point, so he had a sore throat for 2 days, and that was it. Bunny, go away, Bunny. I'm making a video. Shoo. My bunny is being difficult and wants to be pet. I'll pet you later, Bunny. Alright, so where was I before my bunny so rudely interrupted me? I mean, anyway, the second experience I had was that was actually my first Dijon. It was years and years ago. I had a stiff sword. We did some light sparring. I went into a thrust, and I could feel thrust to the head, and I could feel my sword passing through something, and I almost shat my pants. And luckily, it was only the sword passing through the rubber, which kind of keeps the seal from being visible, so that was okay. But I do have issues with stabbing someone if I don't trust that the sword is flexible enough and the tip is good enough not to actually cause any harm. So I was really happy with it. The flex was good, unless of course it took a set, which it did a lot of. I used the sword against much heavier swords, so I used it against Trnavas. I used it for sparring, for heavy sparring, and I loaned this sword a lot. So you have to know that whenever we had a training, this sword was used 100% of the time. If I wasn't using it, somebody else was. It did not get a chance to catch a break, and I attend every training that we have because I'm the one who actually leads the longsword trainings. All in all, I can say I'm happy with how long the sword lasted, but I'm not pissed off about it either. So it lasted a decent amount of time. I expected it to last a little bit more. Then again, two of my previous faders also lasted about this time. So the big question here is, would I get this sword again? Actually, because I got the sword for free, would I buy this fader again? Now, the new versions have a couple of things changed. Number one, they're harder. They're 52 Rockwell, which is great. That's awesome. That's what I want. Number two, they're a little bit stiffer. Also, I think a good change, because this one was really soft in the thrust, a bit too much so. So I like that. And the last one is it's heavier, and it has the point of balance a bit further up the blade. So it's a little bit more point heavy. I'm not sure how I feel about that until I try it out, because more point heavy means it'll strike harder, which might not be optimal for tournaments. Then again, I would need to try it out. But based on this sword, yes, I would buy it again. Even though this one lasted about 16 months, I'm pretty sure, I'm actually quite impressed that it lasted 16 months with how much it actually bent. So I would be relatively sure that the next one I bought, the one with 52 Rockwell, would last at least 2 years, which is actually very good time for the sword to last. Otherwise, my review, the review I did of this sword, still stands. I still love the sword. It was wonderful to use. Now, because this sword broke, and I asked the guy how soon he can make the new ones, and he said, well, it's gonna take a while. I didn't order Comfort Fencing. I might get one, but I ordered one from Neyman because they're gonna be new, and I haven't tried them out yet, and I really like new stuff. Now, one last thing is, I know that Comfort Fencing have had some relatively big issues with delivering, especially the gloves. Now, I'm not sure if this is true for faders as well, but if you have any experience with it, so with ordering from Comfort Fencing, not getting it, or especially if you did get it actually, because I haven't heard a lot of complaints about people not getting their faders. So for now, I would say yes, this is definitely a fader worth getting. Two caveats though, actually one caveat. If Comfort Fencing can deliver at least vaguely on time. Because I know that the gloves, I'm aware that they probably had problems. I wish they would have communicated this more to the general public and the people who actually bought their gloves and didn't get them for a shitload of time. I hope that isn't the case with these faders, because they're wonderful swords. I think this is one of the swords that whoever you give it to, they're gonna go, at least in the worst case, well, this is not my thing, but it's still kind of nice to use. And in the best case, they're gonna absolutely love it like I did. So yeah, that's it. I still have a shit ton of things that I got to review. I have to review the Neyman pants. I have to review the Neyman gloves. I reviewed the Neyman jacket, which is excellent. I'll have to wait a little bit with the Neyman gloves, because they said, please wait, we'll send you a new pair which has some new stuff, some new modifications done, so you can review something that will actually, you know, represent what we'll be sending out. So far, though, I can only say that I really like my Neyman gloves. I like them slightly more than the sparring gloves I had. So thank you for listening. Please share your experience with the Neyman, not the Neyman, the Comfort Fencing faders if you ordered any. I know there was a lot of problems with the gloves. I really hope it's not the case with faders as well, because they're great. And thanks for listening. Until next time, have a good one.